Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I will be doing a 2024 election prediction between Ron DeSantis and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Um, I am very tired, so I'm gonna try to get this video out fairly quickly. It's only 8:57, so it's looking pretty good right now. I'm gonna get started by labeling AOC safe states: Washington, California, Hawaii, Colorado, DC, Vermont, New York, and Illinois. Colorado could be likely. I think that AOC does have the Hispanic and Latino support to be able to do well in Colorado. I think that she is Latino, so that she would have more social awareness, which could help her. But I do think that she would do better, generally speaking, with Hispanic and Latino voters. Among Hispanic and Latino voters in Florida and Texas, it could be a problem for her. But I think that generally speaking, she would be strong enough to be able to win Colorado safe. For DeSantis to stay states: Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. Now for AOC's likely states, I'm going to give her Oregon, New Mexico, Virginia, Maryland safe, forgot to label it, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Maine's first. So for these in Oregon, I think that this election would be a lot more like a Hillary Clinton 2016 election, than what we saw in 2020. Because honestly, it would probably be farther to the right because the difference between DeSantis and Trump is smaller than the difference between AOC and Harris, or also AOC and Biden. So I think that AOC and Clinton. I think that AOC would probably do better in Oregon than Clinton, but probably still win it by like 13%. In New Mexico, she'd probably do worse. Probably win it by like 7% because she wouldn't do amazing with oil workers. So I do think that she'd do decent with the white working class, or white working class Hispanic and Latino vote. In Virginia, I think it should be actually pretty good with the DC suburbs. I think it should do worse across the state with rural voters. Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, they were all likely in 2016. I think that AOC does have the regional advantage being from the Northeast. Actually, I think that Clinton was also a senator from New York at one point, so I don't really think it matters a whole lot. But I don't think it would really be enough. And in Rhode Island, Biden won it by, 16%, I think it was, 16, 18, 20%, something like that. So if we go look at it, yeah, it was like a 19% margin of victory. I think it could be safe, but AOC, or DeSantis will probably do better with the white, rural, college-educated vote. So for DeSantis' likely states, I'm going to go give him, I forgot to label Nebraska's first and third districts are all safe, and Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, Alaska, Florida, and Maine's second. Also, Massachusetts, Massachusetts is safe for AOC. For Iowa and Ohio, AOC is too weak with white rural voters in Iowa and too weak with the white working class in Ohio. In Maine, second, similar thing, too weak with white rural voters. South Carolina, it was likely in 2020. AOC would probably do decent with the black vote, but do really bad with the white rural vote. In Florida, first off, it's DeSantis' home state. Second off, she would do horrendously in Miami. In Alaska, it was like 10% in 2020, so it was a likely state in 2020. I think that AOC would probably do slightly, she would be bad with oil workers. However, I do think she would be better with Native Americans that are turning out in larger numbers. But it would still probably be likely. As for AOC's lean states, I'm going to give her Maine and Nebraska second. So looking at this, in Nebraska second, she is not a great candidate for rural voters. However, it doesn't have any rural voters. I think she'd do similarly in Omaha and similarly in Lincoln, and probably a little worse in the suburbs. So it'd probably be lean. In Maine, Clinton won it by 2.8%, and DeSantis is probably a better candidate for a state like Maine than Trump. Actually, he's better for Maine's first, worse for Maine's second. So I think it would still probably be lean. It would be close. It would actually be really close, which is surprising, but I do think it would be close. For DeSantis, don't know if you could hear that. My thigh just rubbed against my Apple TV remote, and it made the sound of the apps moving. Anyways, for DeSantis' lean states, I'm going to go give him Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Texas. So looking at this in the state of Texas, I was debating whether or not to put this in the likely or lean column. I was just thinking, I mean, like AOC, I think that she would probably do worse. Well, actually, I'm gonna make it likely. She would do worse with Hispanic and Latino voters in Texas, and especially voters in the Rio Grande Valley. She would do worse or she would do slightly better in Harris County, slightly better, or I guess in the Houston area, slightly better in the Dallas area. But she would do way worse with the white rural vote, even worse than Trump already did, or than Biden already did. So I'm just gonna give it to DeSantis likely. In North Carolina, white rural turnout would probably be down a little. Actually, well, anti-AOC turnout would probably be up. So she would probably just do way worse in the rural areas. Despite small gains in urban areas and small gains in the suburbs, it wouldn't really matter. In Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, the white working class would turn out against AOC. She is a really bad white working class candidate. I think that DeSantis isn't great. He's also not absolutely horrendous. And in New Hampshire, I mean, like Clinton hardly won New Hampshire. She won it by a tilt margin. Like it was the most competitive state of the election, I believe. And AOC, I mean, like, that was Clinton against Trump. AOC is not as good with, or I guess DeSantis is much better with the white rural college educated vote than Trump was. So I'm going to give it to him lean. As for AOC's tilt states, Minnesota and Nevada. So for Minnesota, I think that she is a really bad candidate for the white working class, and DeSantis or Trump came close to winning the state. He lost it by like 1.5%. DeSantis would be weaker with the white working class than Trump, but AOC would also be way weaker with the white working class than Clinton was. Actually, well, looking at this, I'm actually gonna make Pennsylvania tilt just because AOC would be weaker with the white working class, but Clinton was extremely weak at the white working class, and DeSantis would be slightly worse. Wisconsin would probably still be tilt though, just because she wouldn't be able to do as well. Well, I'm gonna keep it lean just because AOC is so bad for the white working class. Actually, progressives are typically good for the white working class, but AOC calls herself a democratic socialist, and that just is not. I mean, I guess when people hear socialist, it just doesn't. They don't like it, even though she's a democratic socialist. Or she calls herself a democratic socialist. Probably more of a social democrat, but whatever. Anyways, also, I mean, like, it's weird because like Bernie Sanders calls himself a democratic socialist, but he would be good with them. But whatever. She's not very strong with them. In Nevada, this could be tilt for DeSantis. I think I should do worse with the white rural vote, but do like really bad with the white rural vote, or still pretty bad, but do slightly better in Clark County and make it and keep it tilt. As for DeSantis's tilt states, I'm gonna go give him Arizona, Georgia, and Michigan. So in Arizona, it really does not like candidates that are extreme, and obviously DeSantis is a Trumpist, and they really dislike Trumpists. But I think that a lot of this rural turnout would really be bad for AOC. And DeSantis is obviously not a great suburban candidate, but neither is she. So I think it would be narrowly tilt red. In Georgia, I think that there would just be so much anti-AOC turnout in the rural areas. And she's also, once again, not a great suburban candidate. She'd probably do decent in Atlanta, but it probably wouldn't be enough. In Michigan, I think that Clinton lost it lean or tilt. I think that DeSantis would probably improve, but won it by like 0.7% as opposed to like 0.23 or whatever Trump won it by. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. I'm not certain what to film, so please comment your suggestions down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all there. Bye.